Okay, so this is, I guess, SceneForge 2.0. There have been a significant amount of changes since the last version. And the most notable change is if you look at the controllers, you'll see that they, one, look like hands now, so you can actually see where your fingers are. But two is that there's no menu on the controller where there previously was. And of course, we have this little orb thing on the right controller that allows you to switch between different movement modes. So rather than the controller menu that was previously like right over here, if I press the button on the controller, it'll pop up in front of me. And this is what allows me to basically do the same thing, but it's a little bit cleaner. Now I can hide it and show it wherever I want. So to show, I guess, the difference in controls, I'm going to spawn in this little ship here. It's an X-Wing. So now what I can do is I can select it, and rather than the properties menu showing up on the controller, I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. It'll pop up in a little menu over here, meaning that I can adjust it in the world wherever I want, and I can edit the properties this way. So rather than using an annoying gizmo that pops up, I can now grab it from anywhere using the grip button and position it where I want, make it bigger or smaller, etc. So that's just for moving around objects. There's also options to add lights and add cameras. Remember, previously there's only option for one camera. But I'll show you the way this works with lights now. So if I select a light, we get special properties just for lights. I want to make this a different color. I'm going to rotate it actually so it's right on this ship over here. And I'm going to adjust the color so it's like a nice blue, increase the intensity and the angle, and you can see we have different things like that, different settings. So now that we have this interesting ship scene, very basic, I'm going to change the weather system so we can change the way the scene looks. So previously you can change the sky from a preset of different options, but now we can actually change the time of day dynamically, as well as change different active weather simulations. You can see the clouds are getting darker, and now it's hard to see on the screen, but now there are actual raindrops falling. So now we actually have this pretty cool, pretty interesting scene of this ship over here. So now let me add in a camera. So let me add in a camera right here, and you'll see it spawns in. Now it looks like any other object, but if I select it, you get a special menu that pops up above it, and that is the actual viewfinder. So I'm going to make sure I can actually grab this, and I'm going to sweep in here, and I'm going to move it out of the way. So now I can position the camera wherever I want, and I can control using the thumbstick the zoom and focus of the camera. So I'm going to adjust the f-stop/aperture here so we get a nice shot of the ship, like that. Cool. And I can toggle a bunch of other options. I can take the photo, I can toggle recording, and you'll see we have a bunch of other options at the top, including exposure and things like that. And as well as presets for different types of lenses. So it's pretty cool. You can do a lot of interesting things. What's cool is that now with the way it works, I can add more than one camera, and you'll see the properties now jump from camera to camera. So it can have two different views. Depending on what we want visible at any given time. So I can have an angle from here, and then while I'm recording, I can instantly switch to this camera, and the angle will just switch to match, what this camera is seeing. So I can switch between the two, all while it's recording. So it's useful for live streaming, so we can have a multi-camera setup similar to like a sitcom or something like that. We have a bunch of other options, like just more global settings, and specifically camera options, such as resolution and things like that. But one of the most interesting changes is the storyboard editor. So previously there's a button over here that opens the editor, and it was very clunky and not very well designed. So now I can be anywhere in the scene and open up the storyboard editor like this. And so rather than like a grid, which is what storyboards look like, it wasn't very user-friendly. So now in the VR world, I'm going to position this over here so we can move it around. Now it looks it's more in line with more traditional video editing applications. We have a timeline at the bottom, and I can add different clips and assign different images to different shots. And then you can, of course, you have frame info, so you can type some information about it. And in the future, you will be able to export as a PDF to hand off to a production designer or someone like that. I'm going to change the time of day. I'm going to show off one more cool thing, is that the rigged characters work a little bit differently now. So I'm going to add in this character right here. So this is a big character. I'm going to bring him down to Earth. And now, just like before, it'll recognize that it's a rigged character, and now I can pose him in different interesting ways. You'll notice this is a little more photorealistic than the previous character, though it's still not perfect, and I am working on that. And you can adjust the posing and things like that just by grabbing the controllers. So yeah, that's kind of where SceneForge is at right now. There's a bunch of other stuff to be added in the future that we're planning on, including completely overhauling the back end, the way the input is handled, which is very frustrating, but it'll be done. So yeah, that's SceneForge Studio 2.0.